Today, members of parliament in Japan are debating legislation that would make the military in the country a lot more active and a lot more involved in international affairs. Now, this all has to do with the Prime Minister of Japan being really concerned about the military being basically a bunch of pacifists. And he doesn't like it. He thinks that they should get even more involved in what's happening in international relations. Well, of course, there's a lot of disagreement in Japan about this, particularly in parliament. And during a recent debate about it, things got a little violent. Take a look. And that, my friends, is what CNN was hoping for during the Republican debate last night. But fortunately, it didn't break out in violence. Okay, so let me give you some more background information on this. So opposition politicians tried to prevent voting by piling on top of the committee chairman and wrestling away his microphone. Lawmakers from the governing party pulled them away and formed a protective scrum around the chairman to allow him to call a vote. Okay, so those who are against this legislation are like, oh no. Okay, we want the military to be as pacifist as possible, and as a result, we're going to fight.
That seems to be a bit ironic.
Yes.
Right. All right, before we get into the substance, let's note for the record that scrum is an unfortunate word.
It really is. For some reason, it makes me think of scrotum.
And cup. So yeah. It is a very unfortunate combination. And I played rugby, so I was in a lot of scrums. Okay, so now, onto the substance. Look, when it's not your government, it looks kind of fun. Right? When they're like, Washington, they're like, oh, right? I'm like, man, they're passionate about this. I kind of like it, right? But could you imagine Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, Washington, Martin O'Malley off the top rope, right? Jim Webb's got him in the Uger maneuver. Okay. So that sounds absurd on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, it doesn't sound quite as absurd.
Yeah.
but look, don't fight. It's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
Japan, you're a democracy. You're one of the stronger democracies in the world. It doesn't look good. Let's bring it back down, okay?
But I respect those in the opposition because it's a disastrous idea. I mean, think about it. Oh, our country's not getting involved in enough unnecessary wars. Let's change that. I mean, come on, really? Why? I mean, look, I have to read into this a little further to figure out what the intentions of the Prime Minister are, right? But so far, I feel like Japan's got it good, right? I'd much rather not get involved in these ridiculous wars than to do so. But anyway, the committee eventually passed the bills, sending them to the full upper house for what is likely to be a final decisive vote. Now, let me give you some more information about that. If passed by the full House, the legislation would allow the Japanese military, known as the Self-Defense Forces, to cooperate more closely with the militaries of allies, like the United States, by providing logistical support and, in certain circumstances, armed backup in international conflicts. So Japan right now is a little worried about China's growing military power.
Definitely.
So right now, they want to work with allies in this way, just in case they might need the allies in the future, should anything happen between them and China.
Yeah. So let's keep it real. Like, I get it. I know the motivation behind it. One part of it is North Korea is crazy, and their nukes might be able to reach Japan. And God, if you're Japan, how furious would you be over that, right? So I understand that, but that's been around a long time. Mainly, it's the growing power of China that they're concerned about and want to push back against. And they've already had some scuffles in the islands. And so, whose island is it? Yada yada, right? But you already have a huge deficit in Japan. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to get involved in other wars, spend the money on that, start building weapons. Look, America's not going to let China take Japan. So what they're worried about is America's not going to come to their aid if China grabs a couple of islands.
Right.
right? And I get it, and if that's part of your national identity, you're going to be super mad about that, and you're going to want to arm up. But arming up and spending all the money to arm up, especially the deficits what they are in Japan, sounds like a super bad idea to me. And it's interesting to see liberals literally fighting back.
Yeah.
Like here in America, that seems unimaginable, right? But in the end, not the right way to approach it. Don't actually, wrestle anybody. Don't get in a scrum. Do it in a political way. Do it right, okay? But easy for me to say sitting over here.